Parents, of course, this doesn't matter if you're conservative or you're liberal. And if you are a liberal parent, you don't have to take our word for this. Fortunately, this curriculum says itself what the purpose is through one of the essential questions. I mentioned it in the introduction, but I want to reiterate it here. The question is, how and why do mathematical processes demand collective thinking? How can we change mathematics from individualistic to collectivist thinking? They want collectivist thinking. That they admit this by asking such a question. They want collectivist thinking, not individual liberty. And they do this through the idea of painting one group of people as the oppressor and another group of people as the victim. This is the underpinning, the foundational aspect of all of the politically correct leftist policies that we see in our nation, that one person has done another person wrong, and therefore the wronged person, who may not have actually been wrong, the wrong person deserves to be put on a higher pedestal, and the oppressor deserves no rights and no freedoms.
Absolutely, we're seeing the elevation of victimhood and all of the things that you've noted. But it's important to realize that even though this framework is elective, our school system itself is not, right? Because we don't have a system of school choice, because many parents are financially or otherwise unable to take their kids out of the public school system, what we have is a almost $700 billion annual taxpayer investment from all of us into the future of our children, into the education of our children, and very little control from parents. This is not what parents are saying they want from our schools. There's actually some interesting research that came out the other day, a long-term survey from Pew that asked Americans what they want or what are the top goals of the school system. What ought the top goals of the U.S. public school system be? And they were things like, shockingly, teach kids how to read and write and do mathematics without this kind of framework, without these kinds of ideas. But high up there were things like understanding American history, respecting America, understanding how to be a good citizen. These are not concepts that our schools teach anymore, largely, but they are the purpose of the school system. And 70% of American parents and citizens in general want this to be the purpose of the public schools. And what we see instead is a leftist indoctrination agenda that appeals to a very limited number of people, and then the vast majority of American parents who are kind of stuck with it. And that's not how our school system should operate. We all pay into this system. We all recognize it's important to invest in our children's education, but we need to allow parents through school choice to choose what and how their children learn. Otherwise, we see these very radical ideas that cater to a small percentage of the population being forced down the throats of a lot of American parents who don't want their children to learn this way.
Well, that's the thing, too. When you say that this type of liberal indoctrination, these ideas, these leftist ideas, only appeal to a small minority, if we allow them to pervade our public schools the way that they are, then these ideas aren't going to be desired or accepted by just a small minority of the population anymore. They're going to be the normal ideas in our country, which of course everyone knows is the purpose of indoctrination in the first place. It's to get the next generation of people in your country to believe your ideas by teaching it to them without giving them any alternative choice to think for themselves.